I just love me some Gospel 1680. That's the truth.
Welcome to another edition of Real Family Talk. This is your host,
Hello.
Everybody's having a great Tuesday.
Welcome to Real Family Talk. This is your host, Jay Real. I hope everybody's having a good Wednesday evening out there, man. It's a nice day in the city, beautiful here. Weather's good. It's hot all day, and then it's kind of a nice little cool breeze outside. I like it, man. We're moving into that summertime weather down here, man. It's been a blessing. I love Orlando weather. I can't go nowhere else, man. But let me go ahead and welcome my guest in here tonight. I got Jeremy's in the building. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm good. How you doing out there, people in radio land?
And Jason Henry's in the building with me tonight. How you doing, Jason?
I'm fantastic, man. How about you?
Doing all right, bro, man. I tell you one thing, though. All day long, man, my messaging's been going off. Seems like everything's going wrong in the city today, man. I heard about the Sunrail had a crash today, ran into a truck apparently somewhere out there in, where did they say this happened?
Longwood.
In Longwood, okay. Yeah. So you got the Sunrail crash. Woke up this morning, there was a murder investigation this morning. then throughout the day, I heard about a carjacking at an apartment complex.
Yeah, I think the person was shot in the face, right?
Yes, I think so. Carjacking an apartment complex, a domestic murder, and Dr. Phillips. I mean, what is going on in the city today, man? All kinds of just crime.
It's the heat, man.
Today.
You know, the
That's
heat.
what it is,
man.
Is
that what it is?
The heat gets turned up.
Yeah.
Man.
Everybody come out.
Apparently, there was even a stabbing out near UCF today, man.
It's just what? I was out there. I ain't hear nothing.
No, you didn't hear that? No,
I got an update on that, like a breaking news update.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, So, there was a stabbing out near UCF today, bro. So, fatal stabbing. So, I guess sounds like the person died as well.
Yeah, they did.
So, I don't know, man. City Beautiful is not so beautiful when it comes to crime today, man. It's a little dangerous out there. Be careful, people. Be careful. It's a crazy world we live in, man. All these, some people say it's probably the Republicans and their refusal to strengthen all of these gun laws. Well, we don't need strengthening gun laws. They're good. It's the way they are, man. Man, feel free to call us today. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number, man. Jason came by to tell me about what's been happening in the Florida legislature. So go ahead and tell me about that, Jason, man.
I will, man. Well, I guess before we get started, I would hope that everyone has heard the news or at least has stopped by a TV or radio to hear that District 5 in the city of Orlando actually has a new commissioner.
Yes,
and Commissioner-elect Regina Hill. She beat out Juan Lynham by actually 10 percentage points. So, I mean, honestly, I guess that was a referendum on what the people of that district have experienced for the last 16 years that they want to change.
Yes.
That change came in Regina Hill. So
still low voter turnout, though.
Yeah, but you know what?
But I think it was a little bit better than the last time, though.
Yeah, but I'll say this. I don't think that's an indictment on District 5. That's all of Orlando. Because when we had municipal elections with Buddy Dyer and a few other commission races a few years ago, the turnout was only 15%, barely 15%. So just local races, man, just aren't as, I guess, interesting to people as a presidential election or a race for governor or whatever it may be. Just seem not to put as much stock in local races. In District 5, I would argue that District 5 is the most important district in the city of Orlando. Just look at all of the development and economic reinvestment going on in that district that more people should pay attention. So this is the chance. Regina has talked about being an advocate for the people and making sure that there are more jobs and opportunities for that district. So this is the chance, I guess I can say.
Yeah, I'm always a fan when new people get a chance. Fresh blood, you know. I know that she's new to the political scene. Mm-hmm. She doesn't necessarily have the background for
That's gonna be the good thing,
for
right?
working in city council, working with a city. But it'll be good to see a fresh face that comes in from a brand new, if you
Just has a
will,
different perspective
and
on
to
things.
see if we can get something.
We'll
little
see.
something.
Absolutely, we'll
little
see.
something.
She'll have a 4-year term. Change doesn't happen overnight, obviously, but some of the things that she's talked about can happen overnight. She's talked about transparency. She's talked about building community advocacy boards to talk to her about what's going on in their communities and how she can help. So those are things that you can immediately see some type of change with, as far as what's happening in the district and, turning some of those things around. A lot of that stuff is already set in motion. So I'm not sure how much Commissioner Hill, or even if Juan Liner was elected, how much that can be turned around. But maybe some of the investment that's going on as far as getting people jobs, and I don't know. But it's just interesting to see what's going to happen with that seat now that she's in there. So, but I wanted to mention that. I know, at least from my Facebook timeline, that's all a lot of people were talking about, especially in the local news. But the 2014 legislative session is officially done. It ended this past Friday up in Tallahassee, the 60-day meeting of politicians or state representatives and state senators met in Tallahassee to pass bills, to debate, and to pass a budget. That is the only thing that they are actually required to do. They can go to Tallahassee to debate laws, to pitch them, or they can just go up there and sit for 60 days. But the only thing that they are required to do is to pass a budget. And that's exactly what they did. It was a $77 million budget that's chock full of a lot of things, and a lot of things that Democrats aren't necessarily happy with. So I actually wrote an article or a blog post about some of the more important things, or some of the things that caught my attention. Some of the things that are going to impact you locally are that your tag fees are going to be lowered.
Yay.
That's something you can get behind, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
can definitely get behind
I
that.
can get behind that
Something
all
as
day
simple
long.
as that.
It's a
When you
shame
go
because
to-
I just pay for my tax. So actually, it's
I
going to
know.
be a whole nother year before I can even experience what the change is exactly.
So that's something everybody can get behind. The speed limit may potentially be raised. They passed a law to allow the Department of Education, the Department of Transportation, to study if the speed limit should be raised on certain roadways. So the Florida Turnpike, I-4 was included in that. I believe 95 was included in that. So it may be raised from 70 to 75 miles per hour. I know that's something that a lot of people can get behind, myself included.
Definitely get behind that, brother.
Because I-4 is a
definitely-
mess sometimes,
I
man.
could definitely get behind that. Them
Swear.
trips to Tampa will be just that much. Well, I'm
Nah.
already doing 75.
I don't mean
to
It'll
nothing now.
give me the comfortability to maybe go to 80, 85.
It don't do nothing. The other drivers don't speed up now.
Yes, that's the thing, man.
I had it's funny. I had a economics professor tell me, he's like, they shouldn't be lowering the speed limit. They should be raising the lower end of it. I think it was like 40.
The minimum, yeah.
The minimum, yeah.
Yeah.
They should be raising the speed minimum. Not so much worried about the maximum.
What I don't understand is that little portion of I-4 between, what is that? Maybe the Conroy exit and the
one that's
Cayley
always
exit.
packed.
That's like 55 miles per hour.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Department of Transportation has a reason why they slowed it down that much, but it's 55, and sometimes people are going like 40.
It could be the curve.
Maybe so. It's something, but I mean, I never go 55. when I'm passing.
It's I-4.
Yeah, I'm like,
You
it's
go
I-4. It's a
55.
4-lane freeway, man. I'm not going 55 past this. You're crazy. But those are just some of the smaller things that I'm sure a lot of Floridians would be happy to see. But some of the larger bills that were passed will make a lot of people unhappy, such as House Bill 89, which was labeled to be an expansion of Stand Your Ground. It was labeled, or it was called, the warning shot bill. And in essence, what this bill does is it allows for basically for you to fire a warning shot. Now, the bill doesn't specifically state that warning shot is included in the new law. It just says sustainable or threatened use of force. I apologize. Threatened use of force. So you could have a bat, you could have a knife, you could have a golf club. If you feel that your life is in danger, the state of Florida has given you a license basically to try to alleviate any type of tension that may be around you with a gun, with anything that may be in your vicinity or in your hand. So, for example, if Jimmy and I are getting into an argument and I pull out my weapon and I fire a warning shot in the air, I actually have immunity from any type of criminal prosecution if law enforcement determines that that's what happened, that I fired a warning shot. Now, the thing that I'm interested to see is that if I fire that warning shot and it hits somebody else and that person is injured or killed, how does immunity work in that case? Now, Representative Gates, one of the more controversial representatives in the House, because if you remember over the summer last year when there was a lot of talk about changing Stand Your Ground, he's the one that said that he is not going to change one dang comma of Stand Your Ground. He added an amendment that basically gives maybe not immunity, but it allows you to I guess sue maybe or bring some type of litigation against the person who injured you, who may have been firing that warning shot. But it just adds ambiguity. There's no clearness in this type of bill where someone could be injured, because I mean, unintended consequences, that's a lot of what we hear about a lot of laws that are passed in Florida, and this one is one of those. Is that a warning shot you just cannot legislate? How do you determine what's a warning shot?
Right.
That's my question.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If I fire in the air and the bullet ends up 10 miles down the road, is that a warning shot? So I mean,
if I fire to the side of you,
is that a warning shot?
if I fire to the ground,
second degree involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
2 years probation.
And here's the thing, I don't want to estimate or extrapolate what's going to happen down the road, but if we see another case where an African American is involved and it's because of a bill like this where an African American is killed, then what's going to happen then? Are we going to see any type of marches? Again, I don't want to lay an indictment on anybody.
I'm going to lay an indictment. Yes, that's exactly what you're going to see, Jason. You're going to see indictment. I mean, you're going to see marches. You're going to see protests. You're going to see
Then you'll hear a lot of people saying this was a bad bill. This was a bad law. We need to repeal it. Well, where were you when we were talking about it? What happened? Here's the thing. Al Sharpton and Jamal Bryant, a lot of people marched on Tallahassee when session first started to try to get Republicans to get behind a repeal of Stand Your Ground. But that was when House Bill 89 was being debated in committee. And I didn't see any of the people with bullhorns talking about how bad of a bill this was. So I'm hoping that we have nothing that we can relate to in the future to House Bill 89. But if we do, then you'll know, look, this wasn't a good piece of legislation. Now, the other part that got a lot of people riled up was public education. Republicans were attempting to expand vouchers in the state of Florida, or the Florida Tax Credit Scholarship Program. In essence, this program allows low-income students I guess you can say a better shot, or a shot at a better education if they attend a failing school and their parents feel that they would like to give them another opportunity. They may qualify to receive a voucher or a scholarship to a private school that may be considered a better school than the school that they currently attend. So Republicans wanted to extend this program. House Speaker Will Weatherford, that was one of his pet projects. He wanted to see the income tax credit cap expanded. A lot of private corporations around the state of Florida are responsible for funding this program, and they also wanted to include sales tax monies into that program as well. That portion of the bill did not pass. Voucher expansion was labeled as dead for a really long time until the last day of session. On Friday, it was dead. Nobody was talking about it. And then in the Senate, Republicans and some Democrats as well slipped a 141-page amendment into a high school and middle school reform bill, sent it back to the House. They voted, of course, Republicans voted yes, voted up on the amendment. The bill passed, and now we have some form of voucher expansion in Florida. Now, it's not the type of expansion, again, as Republicans wanted. Sales tax money is not going to be diverted into the program. The cap or the limit wasn't extended, or the income tax credit limit wasn't extended for private corporations so that they could funnel more money into this program. It allows for I believe your income can be a little higher for you to participate in the program, and students who come from students who come from a family with a higher income are able to participate as well. And next year, I guarantee you this, you'll see a large or a big push from Republicans to try to extend this program, because when they had this debate in the Choice and Innovation Subcommittee, man, that room was packed. It was standing room only. You had a lot of teachers, students talking in favor of the legislation. It just didn't get as far as they wanted it to. So that was one that was of contention for a lot of Democrats and some Republicans, but mostly Democrats, on Friday. Now, another thing is a form of medical marijuana passed in the state of Florida. It was called the Charlotte's Web Bill. This is a non-smokable form of marijuana that will provide pain relief, or relief from pain, but does not provide a high. The way it's described,
So it's a pill then.
the way it's described is that it is a non-euphoric strain of marijuana for medicinal purposes only, and this has been expanded to include, folks who are going through cancer treatment, children who have epileptic seizure. Man, I just butchered that word. That was awful. I straight up butchered that one. But kids who have seizures and other type of ailments, this is going to provide pain relief, but it doesn't provide a high. Now, on the back end of that, in November, you know that Florida voters will have the opportunity to vote for the approval of medical marijuana in the state of Florida. But if that does not pass, in every single poll that I've seen, it has it passing at least by 70%. At least by 70%. If that does not pass, some people will at least have this to fall back on to say that we have something of that nature. There was a second medical marijuana bill in the House of Representatives and in the Senate that really and truly had no shot of passing. This allowed you to grow your own medical marijuana, and it was the smoking form, and Republicans in no way in the world were they going to get behind that. Medicaid expansion did not pass. Republicans didn't even take it up. It was not on their agenda, not on their docket. So that one, I think you can pretty much say so long to. You'll have Obamacare in the state of Florida, but Medicaid expansion is not likely to come to Florida anytime soon. The last one is the bill about the Dreamers. So students of undocumented immigrants who live in Florida, they are now eligible to receive in-state tuition rates. Now, that was a bill of contention and a lot of controversy for Republicans, especially for Governor Scott, because in 2011, he said that there is no way he would support that type of legislation, but in the election year, he all of a sudden had a change of heart, did a 180, said that this is something that the House and the Senate should consider. That's exactly what they did, and he took a victory lap on it. He was in the Senate and the House chambers all last week touting that this bill passed. He said that this is good for students. This is good for the state of Florida. And the second half of that is that not only will those students have an opportunity to receive lower rates of tuition, but they will also, or for all students who are attending college, there is a tuition freeze, at least for the year. So that's actually a good part of it. But overall, what I took from session is that Republicans were not as extreme as they have been in previous years. And the reason why I continue to say Republicans is because they are the majority party in Tallahassee. So a lot of legislation that you'll see come out of Senate and House chambers is going to come from the party that's in favor, basically. But they softened their image. They want to make sure that the governor is reelected. And the Dreamers bill, a $500 million tax cut, public education, extending additional educational opportunities or expanding school choice was one thing that was large for him, and medical marijuana is going to go a long way for him in November when he faces Charlie Crist. So if you want to read more about session, because I want to bore you to death, I actually have a short article about it on my blog at typeorlando.com/Jason-Henry-project. You can read about a lot of bills because I wrote extensively about session when it was going on. So the Dreamers, Medicaid expansion, public education. There were 6 gun bills. 3 of them passed. There was 1 gun bill that was presented where they would allow school safety officers to carry weapons. the speed limit increase. And the other thing that a lot of people may want to know about is the Orlando Orange County Expressway Authority is going to be altered. It is now going to be called the Central Florida Express System. That's going to include Lake, Seminole, Orange, and Osceola. Osceola being the last county added at least by the year 2018. It's going to be a 9-member board, 3 members appointed by the governor. And the reason why there may be some interest in this is because of Scott Batterson and his indictment on bribery charges over the last 2 weeks. So Scott Maxwell has been talking about this for a few years, about how there's just a culture of corruption on the Orlando Orange County Expressway Authority. So that's why the House and the Senate decided to take up that issue. So again, without me battering all day and all night, because I could, trust me, I could talk about session all day if you wanted to, but I don't want to put you to sleep as you're driving back home from work. Just go and check out some of the synopsis C's about the 2014 Florida Legislative Session.
Definitely, and we'll post that too on the website, as well as there's another article I was reading as well, and I'll post that up too as we end the show today. So for sure, we appreciate that, Jason, man.
Absolutely, man.
Let me ask you a question. When I heard about the Dreamers bill that you're just referencing, I don't know if I felt some kind of way about that, actually.
A lot of people did.
And I kind of feel like if our goal is to create as many, or if our goal is to make these people American citizens, ultimately, how, I question how we're doing a good job at encouraging to do that as we continue to give them things, opportunities, when they're not citizens. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Because if you're gonna let me drive a car without having to have a license, and not take me to jail, why do I need a license?
Good question.
The part of that is, for a lot of people, the thinking is, this is no fault of the students. Their parents are here, or were here, or are here illegally, and they had no choice in the matter. They were either born here. They were born here, basically. Yeah. And for a lot of them, if their parents aren't documented, then it's really no fault of their own that they aren't able to enjoy some of the same privileges that some of their friends enjoy. Now, I understand that some people may feel some type of way about that, even though it's not their fault. We shouldn't necessarily extend benefits that are exclusive to Floridians to these students. But, my thought is that America was founded by immigrants. Yes. And that everything that we've basically made progress in is because of immigrants. Mm-hmm. And the other part of that is that that's my thought, is that, these students, not their fault. It's just an in-state tuition rate. It's not as if we're giving them this, humongous discount. There was an amendment added to the bill that, let's just say you had 20 of the Dreamers to apply to the University of Florida, and they had 20 spots, and then a military veteran decided that he wanted to apply and he would be accepted. Which one do you take? Do you take the last Dreamer, or do you take the military veteran? An amendment was added that the school had to take the military veteran, so they wouldn't be taking a spot necessarily from someone else, if that makes any sense. So
that doesn't make any sense. That sounds like, well, we're gonna do this on paper, but in the real world, we're gonna keep you out. Because at the end of the day, right, it should be the best candidate, whoever that is.
It absolutely should be the best candidate.
Based on whatever parameters that you are setting up for your candidates.
I absolutely agree with you. So, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think just by offering them in-state tuition rates, I don't think that's bad. It's not as if we're saying that, for these students, we're going to offer them free scholarships or a free ride to college. It's just an in-state tuition rate, which tuition, still the state of Florida has some of the lowest tuition rates in the country, but it's still high. Right. The price to go to college, man, is in fact, student debt or student loan debt is overtaking credit card debt in this nation. So, if we are able to help students out in any way possible, I'm all for it.
Gotcha. I think it's a good thing, too. I mean, even if they're here legally, how is it going to hurt them going to school? At the end of the day, most likely they're going to stay here and just help us out. Yeah. As a country, So
again, there's in-state tuition rates compared to someone who's out of state. That's what we extended to them. So,
all right.
And again, it came up in a good year because it's an election
election
year.
year.
I'm not sure if this, again, 2011, 2012, it did not pass. But, 2014, it was able to come up for passage. So,
like you said, the Republicans are trying to.
They soften their image. Next year, this wouldn't happen next year.
Help Scott get back into
help Brother
office.
Scott as much as they can.
And we'll see what happens, man. It's going to be interesting. Like you said, I think it will be Chris ultimately versus Scott.
I don't know. I mean, I think that will be it, but I'm not sure that you have a lot of Democrats who believe that all you have to do is say Rick Scott and people are going to circle in Charlie Crist's name, but I'm not so sure about that. And I think anyone who has that much money and he's an incumbent, he softened his image this year. He moved a little bit further to the center. He's going to be tougher to beat than a lot of people think.
Think so.
Absolutely.
Well, I just my thing is I hate flip-floppers.
Well,
I hate anybody that is wherever he needs to be at that moment in time, and that's my problem with Charlie Crist.
That's him.
Because he's gonna say whatever needs to be said, and that's the
said
life of a politician. I get that.
Well, not
but
necessarily.
when they blatantly, like, this dude is not even embarrassed about the fact that he rides the train that pays his will. You know what I'm saying? And I just have a big problem with that.
He's a populist candidate, man. Just look at what he said about the Republican Party a couple days ago. He said that one of the reasons he left is due to their intolerable racism.
Yes.
Well, what about you were a Republican for the vast majority of
your
your
life.
political career,
Of
and
your
you
life.
just figured out that there could be some racism in the Republican
Come on.
Party?
This dude.
There's racism in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So
Come on,
I mean,
come on.
He's trying to
Like
say
I said,
that's them.
Yeah, you take he's trying to endear himself to Democrats, number one, and trying to fire up their base. So let me just throw this softball out here to make sure that I'm able to catch a lot of the base, because a lot of them feel that Republicans are racist. So let me just throw this bomb out, even though it's not going to surprise a lot of people, that there may be racism, intolerable racism, according to him. And he said that Republicans fly against Obama because he's a black man. It's that type of you're a candidate of convenience. Some of the statements that you're making are thoughtfully required, basically meaning I have to make these type of statements to make sure that I'm shoring up my base and that I'm going to be the candidate to lead you coming up in November. But as far as conviction, I just don't think he has any.
He don't have no conviction, man. His conviction is public opinion.
Absolutely. You read the polls, you see which way it's going. Oh, okay, that's how I feel today.
That's how I
Ask
feel
me 2
today.
years from now, they may be a little different, and I can tell you that I had the right to change my mind. But
I just can't trust that dude, man. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that can make me trust that dude.
But see, that's the thing.
I'd rather go with Scott because at least I know where he's coming from. At least I know where he's coming from, and he's at least genuine to that. Now you can disagree with what he's doing or not, but at least you know where he's coming from.
You know where he's coming from, but
at least you know where he's coming from. I take honesty that's not. Well, yeah, the perception of honesty.
I don't.
Then I take, the
someone who
fly-by-night
is
dude.
a robot. Let me take that back, because I don't think Governor Scott is a politician. I think he's a businessman who saw opportunity to further either his business career or his business interest or the interest of his friends, and he ran for governor and he won. And he wants to stay in there for the next 4 years so he can continue to do that. And there's not necessarily a lot of conviction behind some of his positions as well. It's not. I don't think he's a racist, number one. I remember when Jesse Jackson came and said that he was a racist for not extending, I think it was Medicaid expansion to a lot of people, and for not calling the special session on Stand Your Ground. I don't know the word, classist maybe. He's a rich guy.
He's a rich guy.
He's a rich man,
white
and
guy.
he's going to look out for his rich
Other
buddies.
rich
Yeah.
friends.
So I mean, it's not that he's a racist. He doesn't deal with black people
He
on the
don't deal
daily.
with black people.
Right.
Yeah, and it was Jesse. And Jesse, come on, Jesse call everybody that doesn't support his ideas racist.
They are.
Stay out the bushes.
But man, and let's not forget, Rick Scott brought Wawa to Florida.
And now it's one on every corner.
Every corner.
Every single corner.
Not quick enough.
If it's not one there, they're building it.
They
Trust me.
absolutely.
They are building
There's a
it.
sign. You don't have a Wawa yet?
I know. That's
put the
crazy.
sign.
It's
We
like
need to work on that.
they go overtake 7-Eleven. Well, they have
I think
already
they
done
have,
it.
man.
They don't say they've already done it, but
I mean, came in like gangbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
And see, when you see stuff like that, that always makes me say, what's really going on?
Absolutely.
Because
yeah.
they come in just to explode like that. I mean, that's some money that you got to spend just to come in a market that you've never been
man.
in.
They probably lowered how much taxes he was going to have
Well,
to pay
I mean,
on
yeah,
his corporation.
Rick Scott has lowered corporate income tax here. When he first got into office, he said he wanted to completely eliminate corporate income tax. That has not happened. I don't think it's going to happen. Well, let me not say that, because if he's reelected, it very well may. It may, but yeah, I mean, he's blaming for the Dreamers Bill or for the Dreamers Act or whatever you want to call it. He blamed Charlie Crist for it, even though he did not support it for the last 2 to 3 years, and all of a sudden he's made a 180 on it. So again, man, it goes back to conviction. What are you convicted about? And if there's not much there, then there you go. You can pretty much read the candidates when they step into your face.
There you go, man. All right, man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Hang around if you can, man. We're going to talk a little bit about race. We were talking about race last week. We had talked about Donald Sterling and everything that he had to say. And I kind of wanted to piggyback on the conversations. I saw 2 things this week that kind of made me want to, kind of keep it going a little bit here. First, I was having a conversation with a coworker about an experience she had and her experiences. And one of the things she talked about, she said for the first time in her life, now just to give you some background on her, she is from all intents and purposes, she's Spanish. Technically, she's from Chile, but all you know is she's Spanish.
Yeah.
But
for Americans, she's Spanish.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
to Americans, she's Spanish. So she was riding down the street, and apparently she was on the phone, cut some guy off in a truck. And so as the guy rode by her, he called her the N-word as he rode by, which for her, in her experiences in America, and she's been here long enough to go to high school and is now in her 30s, she was blown away because that was the first time where she felt like real racism in America. So as she described that to me, I said, wow. Oh, okay. Yeah. Then she started to describe to me her experiences in America. And so she described to me her core friend population, which she described as being made up of basically immigrants from other countries, ranging from South American countries to Europe, and even Africa, apparently, either by marriage or by association. And so she described that was her experience, is that, we were this big melting pot and everybody got along, and I just had to laugh on the inside.
We all sang Kumbaya.
As I thought to myself, well, I guess the other day when you cut off that guy and he called you the N-word is when you really had a first, experience in America, even as she described her thoughts about the Donald Sterling situation. It was, again, blowing her mind. And I just thought, are immigrants really? Because as an immigrant, I guess maybe she has a different perspective because she's an immigrant and I was naturally born here. But are they really that removed from what a real experience for most minorities in this country are?
Yes.
You think they are?
Oh, yes.
Why you say that?
I would say most of them, because most of the ones I've talked to, it's like they have no frame of reference. It's like you say their idea or their idea of America is what they see on TV a lot of times in their country, and as we know, you can put out what you want to put out. Yeah. It's just like if you watch the news here, outside of today, how much real bad stuff do you see on the news? I mean, when you really, let's say you go around town, you go in the barbershop here, hey, such happened, such happened. You're like, when? So it's one of them things. What gets out is what they want to get out. So, oh yeah. Now, on the other hand, I do know one in particular, just because recently I know they know exactly what about racism. They're immigrant from Africa, so they're not even fooled by it. It's like, just like a better word, she told me she don't trust no white people for no reason at all. She's like, I don't care how nice they are. Yeah. I don't care. I don't trust them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter.
Right.
I think it depends on your personal experience.
Right.
Like I remember maybe about a year ago, maybe not even that long ago, my wife and my daughter were in a McDonald's, and this white guy came up and was smiling. He said, "What a pretty little N-word." And I'm like, okay, so is this?
It's like you don't even know what to say.
Yeah, like I wasn't there, but my wife texted me, and I'm like, is that ornate negativity? Like you wrap negativity up in a smile and just expect me to be okay with it?
Right.
Like, what a pretty little. She's pretty, but she's still an N-word in my eyes.
Right.
So you're being overt with your racism. That's how a lot of people feel. Mm-hmm. You know what? You're good at your job, but you still an N-word. Yeah. And for her, it was. I said, well, what did you say? And she was like, I didn't say anything. I just, told Zoe, because that's my daughter's name. Mm-hmm. He said, I told Zoe, let's, get our stuff and leave. And she left. And I said, well, a lot of people would have jumped out the window as soon as you're, approached with that type of negativity. But I just think it goes back to what is your experience? If you're an immigrant coming to this country for the first time and what you've seen, to your point, what you've been fed to believe about this country, that we still have the American flag playing at 9:00 at night with the music as TV goes off, and we're seeing Kumbaya at the end of the night, then you're thinking that your experience is going to be different. And then when you experience that, you're like, wait, this is not the America that I saw on TV. And that I remember it was some movie I watched where this lady, she was an immigrant, and she kept asking, where's Mr. John Wayne? That's what they show in my country all the time. Where's Mr. John Wayne? And it's like, John Wayne's been dead for 30 years. Like, what do you mean? Where's Mr. John Wayne? So I just think it's whatever your experience may be, and how you internally process how you're going to react to that, because that may shape the rest of your experience here. Whether you're here short term or long term, you're thinking, okay, well, America's tainted now. Mm-hmm. Well, absolutely, it's sewn into the fabric of this nation. We have an ugly history of it. Right. And sometime or one way or another, you may unfortunately have to experience that type of negativity.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is kind of, as we talk further, that's kind of what I had to break down for her so that she at least got quite the perspective, and I even discussed, with as some of the conversations I had with my sons about racism, because a lot of kids these days go, there's no racism today like it was back in the day.
That's a whole nother conversation.
And I you have to break it down and be as fundamental as possible with teenagers, and so I just asked them about their lunchroom experience. When I was in school, basically the lunchroom was basically segregated, essentially, is what it was. And then you had those one or two groups that were, not so segregated. Yeah. But for the most part, it was segregated. Yeah. And so I just asked them, so when you go to the lunchroom today, what is your experience? Does the white kids on one side and the black kids on the other side, and the Spanish kids on one side and the Asian kids on another side, and and then those one or two groups of mixed individuals? Yeah, that's what it's like. Okay, there you go. It's 2014, but that's still how we interact with each other.
Yeah, y'all just don't say anything.
They just exactly. They don't say anything, And then for my sons, I've had one of them already in his short life been told, you can't date that girl that's outside your race. Yeah. I didn't say it to him. I don't care. But that little girl's daddy, she sure had something to say about that.
Don't you bring on one of those?
Don't you bring on one of those anymore? And he actually let it go for a couple of weeks, and then he's like, all right, I got to step in on this.
Like, wait a minute,
he
ain't going nowhere.
This is not just a fling.
He keep coming around.
I've been as nice as I'm gonna be before.
You got to shut this thing on down. So and I kind of broke that down for her, and then she was like, oh, okay. I was like, yeah, that's. Welcome to America.
Right. Because this is the America we live in. Isn't that a delicate conversation to have, though? Because you don't want to taint, you don't want to poison the well necessarily. Because you do, like you said, you do have a lot of kids who do believe that we're living in a post-racial society. Right. And then you're presented with the Donald Sterling situation and some of the backstory, the history of what he's done to African Americans, to Hispanics, to just minorities. How do you basically walk that fine line? Because you don't want to if they feel that they haven't experienced racism, and you give that example about what's going on in the lunchroom, you don't want to necessarily poison the well. So how do you walk that line without telling them you're going to experience this, so get ready, but at the same time, I don't want you to completely change your mindset and thinking that this is how I need to assimilate in this society?
Well, I think you another thing that I talk to them about is about their behavior. I use myself as an example. You give everybody a fair shot. You know, when you meet somebody, you give everybody a fair shot. And until they do something that causes you to think negatively of them, you give them their fair shot and you keep them in that fair shot plane. And then, my thing is, once you expose yourself to be whatever you are, then at least now I know what you are.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to give everybody that fair shot. And that's the same thing that I say to them, because it's not necessarily that it's everybody.
Sure.
But you can't live your life thinking it's nobody. And that's the thing that I want to instill them, is that it's not that it's everybody, but I do need you to know that there are some people, but not everybody.
Yeah.
And again, you just kind of, it's, we know you have to live your life, and again, you give everybody that fair shot, and then once they blow that shot with you, then they blown that shot with you, but you give them that fair shot until
you have something to pull
until
from
something else shows itself.
Absolutely.
So.
Isn't that always us though? It seems that we live with infinite hope. You know what I mean? We always have that type of attitude and mindset when we're approaching situations, that even if something goes wrong, we're still hopeful. You know what I mean? We always have that to pull from. And on the other side of it, it's, okay, well, I'm not surprised by that. Like, again, just going back to Donald Sterling, I'm hopeful that, my kids won't have the same experiences that I had, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, it just it hits you in the face when you have a reminder that, well, we went for a little bit. You may have that black man in the White House,
right,
and you went for a little while, but still, and even you can relate it to the campaign about bringing our girls back, bring back our girls, bring back our daughters, about the 270 young African or Nigerian girls that were, kidnapped in the middle of the night. The type of media coverage that we've seen on that does not have comparison as far as some of the things that we love to talk about, whether it's a fight on the Real Housewives of whatever city, the missing Malaysian airplane, or, our Kardashian wedding, or whatever it may be. We have a serious situation that we can relate back to color, and not even just color, but the history of how America has treated Africa. Because I can guarantee you, if these little girls were kidnapped for oil, we would have sent a military unit over there 2 weeks ago.
Going to get them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It would have been a SEAL team.
SEAL team. Yeah, exactly. Instead of SEAL team, it would have been SEAL team 270, because we would have had a SEAL for every single girl that was kidnapped. So,
exactly.
you just have to, like you said, you have to be mindful. You absolutely give everybody that equal opportunity to show you. And sometimes it's just an opportunity. I want you to show me who you truly are.
Right.
And then when you do, you're like, all right, well, at least now I know who you are.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And that's, going back to Donald Sterling, I talked about it. When you look at Donald Sterling's generation, that's one of the things that doesn't surprise me. And one of the reasons why I kind of feel like I'm not even offended by it, because it's a part of his generation. And I talked last week, black people are the same age. They got the same opinion. My mama to this day don't mess with white people like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why you gotta put my
and she's not quite as old as Donald Sterling, but she's from that generation, And so, it's not even surprising. It's, I call it not even offensive. It's reality. It's reality, and it is what it is. But I just found that interesting. The other thing that I saw that happened this week is there was the SNL sketch from Leslie Jones. A lot of people, they're surprised. They don't even know who Leslie Jones is.
Mm-hmm.
She's been doing comedy for like 10, 15 years now.
A long time.
Yeah, she's been around.
I was listening to another program, and they didn't realize she was on staff. Like, yeah, she's been on staff as long as the other black girl. I don't even know her name. But I know Leslie Jones. But she did a skit this week talking about she used slavery as a backdrop to discuss her single life is what she basically did.
Yeah.
And she was discussing how as a tall black woman, she's about 6 feet. I know she's at least 6 feet. She may be a little bit taller than that. But she's about 6 feet. She's probably close to 200 pounds too. So she's a nice, solid black woman.
Post up in the post.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She'll definitely post you up in the paint show.
Yeah.
You can go on that block and you can't do nothing.
Exactly. So she was discussing how, basically kind of comparing her single life, what it is today, and the struggles that she's had, due to some of it due to her size probably.
Yeah.
And then talking about how though she was during the slavery days, she'd be the #1 draft pick.
She would be. Yeah.
Because all of the slave masters, as she described it, would want their best slaves to have a baby with her.
Yep.
That way they more than likely have a strong, productive baby be produced by these two.
Sign up to a contract before the draft.
Exactly. And so, she was making jokes about it. It's a comedian. It was SNL. It was a sketch, a little monologue, actually. And so now a lot of people backlash. Oh, how you going to talk about slavery like that? This, that, and the third. Again, I did. If you go online, and I'm trying to post the link to the page so that you can go and see it. But okay, Jeremy says it's there. So you can go online, watch it. Go to facebook.com, RealFamilyTalk. You can watch the clip. But a lot of people are upset because, again, here you have another comedian making jokes about slavery, which, of course, we are very sensitive about what happened during slavery. To me, though, man, they just jokes. Like, if you can't joke about your pain, like, what can you joke about? That's how I see it. I mean, Jason Henry, you disagree with me, Jason?
No. I don't. It's just you get so tired. Like sometimes when we get upset about certain things, you just have to kind of rub your temples and you're like, okay, what's this week's outrage? Like, what are we outraged about this week, or what are we upset about this week? Full disclosure, I haven't watched it. I've only heard about it, but it's one of those things where you're like, okay, I've read about it. I've seen even the synopsis that you gave on it. It's like, okay, it's really not that deep. And I think what more African Americans may be upset about is that, how some people feel that we shouldn't air our dirty laundry in front of white people. It's why do you have to make those type of jokes on that forum when so many white people are watching to embarrass us like that?
And you're probably right. But come on, man. You take the platforms you're given.
Just not that deep, man.
You take the platforms you're given and you do what you do best. You can play it for me. Okay, well, go ahead and play it, sir.
This week, Lupita Nyong'o was named the most beautiful person in the world by People magazine. Here with her thoughts is our in-house image expert, Leslie Jones.
Thank you very much, Colin. Hello, everybody. I wanted to come out here tonight and congratulate Lupita on winning People's Most Beautiful Person, and I agree that she is very beautiful. But for me, personally, I'm waiting for them to put out the most useful list. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where I'm going to shine.
The most useful?
That's what I said, you delectable Caucasian. Let me ask you a question. If you walked in a club and you saw me and Lupita standing at the bar, who would you pick?
Wow.
Yeah, I know. You would pick Lupita.
Wow.
But let me ask you this. If you was in the parking lot and 3 Crips is about to whoop your ass, who you gonna pick then?
I would pick you.
You're damn right you is. And that's my point. The way we view black beauty has changed. Look at me. See, I'm single right now. But back in the slave days, I would have never been single. I'm 6 feet tall and I'm strong, Colin. Strong! I mean, look at me. I'm a mandingo.
Leslie, you're not saying you'd rather be a slave, right?
No, that is not what I'm saying. I do not want to be a slave. Hell, I don't like working for you white people right now, and y'all pay me. I'm just saying that back in the slave days, my love life would have been way better. Master would have hooked me up with the best brother on the plantation. And every 9 months, I'd be in the corner having a super baby. Every 9 months. Every 9 months, I'd just be in the corner just popping them out, just Shaq, Kobe, LeBron, Kimbo Slice, Sinbad.
Sinbad.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I would be the #1 slave draft pick. All of the plantations would want me. I'll be on television like LeBron announcing which plantation I was gonna go to. I would be like, I'd like to take my talents to South Carolina. I do believe that there's gonna be a lot of opportunities there for me. Now, I can't even get a brother to take me out for a cheap dinner. I mean, damn, can a bitch get a beef bone?
Yo,
All right, so yes, so that's that was the skit.
that was hilarious.
Exactly, it was hilarious, man. It was hilarious. Apologize for some of that language, but
one of the funny parts was when she first mentioned, they were laughing, and then when she first mentioned slavery, it was like,
Yeah.
like are we supposed to?
right.
Yeah, like are we supposed to be laughing at this? And then when they kept going, they're like, oh, okay, they must be okay with it then.
exactly. But you know, again, it's making fun to sort of ease that pain of an experience, you know, and that's what comedians do. That's what they do. That's their
that third
job.
eye, man. Yeah, that was funny.
It was funny.
That was hilarious.
It was funny.
She was absolutely right though. She
Yeah.
would have been in the corner popping out children.
She
every
would have
9
been.
months. Yeah, she would have been the top draft pick.
Exactly. And then I heard some people today though comparing it to the Holocaust and how you actually, you know, you never hear a joke about a Holocaust. And then if you do hear a joke, then you hear apology that comes right after.
I tell you,
So-
you hear Jewish comedians talk about the Holocaust.
I'm about to say when we start running certain things, then maybe you may see some type of apologies for slavery jokes, but
as long as they're in control.
yeah,
It's
trying to walk a fine line with that one, but
it's gonna be all right, huh? Well, you know, and you're right. I typically don't. You never really hear a Holocaust joke, and so, you know, I don't know. I don't know if people don't find it. You know, they don't find it as funny. But I think as a people, what we do as people is we take all of our pain, and then we find a way to make that pain funny to ease how we feel about it.
absolutely.
You know, and that's typically what we've done. I mean, even if you look during slavery, I mean, you know, they weren't necessarily in the fields laughing, but they were trying to find ways to ease the pain that they were feeling as they were out there experiencing what
You
they
know what?
experienced.
You can compare this.
Whether-
Does anybody watch the Boondocks?
Yes.
Does anybody remember the episode? Was it Catcher Freeman when they made fun of the slaves and they had the old Negro spiritual? Dang it, I forgot. As much as I watched the Boondocks, but they were making fun of they were making fun of slavery and Tobias. He was the Uncle Tom, and they were out there singing a Negro spiritual. I think it was "Don't Trust Them New N Words" over there. Like, I mean, why? This is the spiritual they were singing, and I mean, it's why I don't know what we pick and choose. I feel like, you know, like Amagruder said that, you know, he likes to offend, but he likes to do it with the purpose to make you think. And with this one, there was a lot of truth in what she said. She wrapped it in jokes, but it made you think. And you're like, you know what? She's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
That's absolutely right. Exactly.
And funny.
Truth
Yeah,
power.
funny. But sometimes, man, you just be too sensitive about things, man. I thought we were too
Exactly.
sensitive about Donald Sterling.
I feel the same way.
My man back in 2003 said that black people attract vermin and that they stink. And we got upset over what he said. Don't bring Magic Johnson to my ball
I know.
games. That's
Forget the vermin. You know, forget what we smell like. You know, that's all right.
That was 2003 anyway.
Yeah, don't do that.
We
And
weren't-
you know what? Here's the thing. It may make some people uncomfortable, but some of us feel that way, that we don't want certain black folk around us because of what they may bring around. It's just when an old white guy with a lot of money says it, we get really upset about it. But we have those conversations in the barbershop where you're like, oh yeah, we having a cookout. Okay, well don't bring so and so.
Yep.
Don't bring them
Don't
in
bring
words
them.
around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
We
you
have
know
those
they-
same
you know they gonna be
conversations.
Conversation.
Yes. So I mean, it's just he said it, and we're like, oh, okay, well he's a racist.
He's
Yes.
racist, yeah. You know, because you know what we do to ourselves is we give ourselves a pass to say anything we want, but then if someone else says it, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
They can say the same thing you were saying. They can say the same thing you were thinking.
But what you say? It makes you feel some type of way, man. Like, I can say that, but I don't know about you. Like, okay,
Come on.
come on now. Let's
Come
be
on
real.
now.
Yeah, let's be
Exactly.
real,
Let's
man.
keep it real, man. A couple of stories I want to mention before we get off the air here. I had a friend tell me today this is the first time he was proud of the president. And what he's referencing was the fact that President Obama has agreed to send some U.S. help over to Nigeria to help find these kidnapped girls. So thankfully they finally come to that decision 20-some odd days later. But nonetheless, they are there. And I just hope, my hope is, I just hope all the help that they do is send a SEAL team or some kind of ranger team or something into the woods. Because apparently, I was reading an article today, this what do they call that? Boko Haram. They apparently holed up in some old army bunkers in Nigeria in like a vast area of forest that apparently contains a lot of poisonous snakes. And so what I hope is the help that we send is a SEAL team into the forest to clip this dude and all his other people and then get these girls away from these fools. Unfortunately, they're probably going to try some whole diplomatic thing first, which, diplomatic with terrorists. I never understood
I don't
that.
think that's an oxymoron.
You can't. Diplomatic with a terrorist.
We're going to negotiate with him.
You're going to negotiate. How you going to negotiate with a dude that made a whole video describing how he was going to gleefully sell these girls into slavery or as wives? And then I heard it was $12. The man said he's going to sell $12.
That's it. $12. That's it.
How you going to talk to
I
this
saw a
dude?
story today that said that in a roundabout way that Bill Gates has. I hate to put stories out there like this, but it was just so interesting to me. But I couldn't verify it. That's the only thing. So maybe this is a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit reckless of me to say it, but the story was basically that Bill Gates and a lot of billionaires in America have supported terrorist organizations like that in Africa because, a lot of people think that Bill Gates is for population control and some of the things that they do in Africa isn't necessarily for the greater good. But as I'm trying to research it at my desk on my little smartphone, I'm like, that's an interesting theory, but it's also a conspiracy theory as well.
Definitely.
Because you're not going to get information like that from NBC, ABC, CBS, any of those. So you really have to do your research on it. But I just thought it was an interesting aside because you do have a lot of American billionaires that are investing in countries and have business ties with some shady organizations and shady governments. So it wouldn't surprise me, but it wouldn't shock me, but it would surprise me. Maybe it's a good way to say it. But right. I just thought that was an interesting aside.
And it wouldn't be the first time either. So
absolutely not. Yeah.
Which is why you almost say when you hear it, you go, I guess it's possible.
Yeah, that's what I did. I'm like, what? Oh, wait.
Not that it's true, but you feel like maybe it's possible.
Maybe it is possible that Bill Gates is over there doing something like that. So.
And then a lot of times too, what happens is it's not even so much that he's directly doing it. It's because he's just chosen to do business with, partner X.
Yep.
And then unbeknownst to him, partner X is actually funding Situation Y.
Yep.
And so he's loving partner X because he's a great guy, but partner X on the back end is giving Situation Y.
You gonna do business with these terrorists, man.
All kinds of things. So
I'm over here trying to save these babies and you doing business with these terrorists.
Doing business with terrorists,
Kidnap
man.
these Nigerian girls, man.
Right. But like I said, I hope our help is send a SEAL team in, put a bullet right like we did with Osama bin Laden. I'm going to take him at his word. Like we did with Osama bin Laden.
I was about to say, some conspiracy theories about that too.
He's been dead since
2003. And
dead in the smack in the middle of his forehead. And go save them girls and clip all them other dudes. Because ultimately, once you take that guy down, I'm sure the rest of them will fall like
they
flies.
said the same thing about Al-Qaeda. They still thriving.
Well, no. I don't mean destroy the entire network. I'm just saying this particular cell.
Oh, gotcha.
That has these girls.
Gotcha.
I'm a big believer. I think it's ridiculous we have a war on terrorism because you can't. Terrorism is an idea. It's an ideology. You cannot fight an ideology.
That's a facade. It was like a war on drugs.
Yeah.
We have a war on drugs. We don't want this in our country, but the CIA and the FBI are secretly funneling drugs into African American communities all across the nation. So yeah. I just kill this particular sect, and then we'll work on the next one as time moves along. So it's gonna be another one.
Yeah, it's always another one, man. This kind of thing is inherent in a lot of those cultures across the pond. So So you can't get rid of it. You can only fight it as it comes along.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully we continue to do that, but in a smart way. SEAL teams, clip them, move on.
Send a SEAL team out there. Let
No
them
SEAL
get
team,
done.
no.
How much money would that movie make?
No, break the technology out. Send the drones.
No, you can't send the drones because you might
drones.
kill the girl, though. That's the problem with the drones.
No. I ain't trying to blow up the whole camp. I mean,
But that's the way America uses drones, especially
Yeah,
Obama.
that's
He
right.
loves drones.
He loves drones,
And they've
yeah.
killed thousands of innocent people.
Yeah.
And I was reading a story where a general said, that's just collateral damage, man.
yeah,
Wow. Okay.
that's how they think. It's war.
It is war.
And if we got who we were supposed to get.
But you know what the
whatever on
crazy part
everything
is? The technology that they're using is that they track your SIM card. So if you're a terrorist and you have they track your phone and your SIM card, they switch the SIM cards out. So they may have given the SIM card away and put it in another phone, and the U.S. is like, okay, they're in this building. They blow up the building, and it's like 100 school children in there, and he just left the SIM card. And it's like, okay, well, he gone. He been gone for 2 weeks. But they're like, well, this is the technology that we're using. We'll use better technology then,
Right.
if
There
that's
you
the
go.
case.
No, they got the facial recognition technology.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that? Eagle Eye they had that on?
It's a couple movies they had that on. I think they had that back as far
It's
back
an
as
87% chance it's him.
yeah, that is far back.
Let's
as
go, yeah.
Will Smith did that one movie.
Well,
Enemy of the
that's
State,
about 10 years
yeah.
ago. Enemy of the State.
It's
Yeah,
a good movie too.
Yeah, it's true.
So, how we looking on time, sir? We got a minute
Yeah,
left.
basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Well, let me just wrap this up, man. We appreciate Jason Henry for coming by, man.
I appreciate you always having me, man.
Oh, not a problem, man. Anytime, man. We want to thank y'all for listening. Remember, you can find us on Facebook, Real Family Talk, Twitter, Real Family Talk, the website, realfamilytalk.com. We got a new logo out there as well. I want to give a shout out to Sublime Media for creating that logo.
That logo is fresh too, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Sublime Media, man. So check them out. They're on Facebook as well. Sublime Media. Sheree Green is the name of the owner of that. So, yeah, they did the logo for us. We appreciate that. So, like I said, we'll be here next week, same time, 9 p.m. on Wednesday, Real Family Talk. This is your host, Jay Real.
Oh, and the Pacers won.
Oh, and the Pacers
man.
won. Are you sad, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Sad?
Hipper had 28 and 9, man. So maybe he's
Wow.
back.
Wow, that's amazing. Rick, shout out to Kevin Durant, too, for winning the MVP.
The
man.
last thing I saw, everybody else didn't do nothing. They just fed him all night.
It worked. It worked tonight.
Remember, the draft is tomorrow, NFL draft, man. We'll see you next week. You can follow us on Facebook, Real Family Talk. You can follow us on Twitter, Real Family Talk. The website, realfamilytalk.weebly.com.
WOKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.